Alright, we got a fat stack. Not really what it's called. I think that's actually first cash or something like that. Gotta be careful. No accidents on stream. On camera, I mean. Okay. Continuing my streak of collecting steelbooks. Let's see. Is that a steelbook? Maybe it's just a Blu-ray version. Let's see. Okay, no wonder. It's weird. Yeah, that's right. That's why it's like this, because of that. Basically, the last order of the month. And sometimes there's just stuff that doesn't show up on Amazon. And this time it was some Eastern that stuff. Sorry, I don't know if you can even hear me. Anyways. There we go. Couldn't figure out why that wasn't coming out right. But here it is. So let's begin. First we have Tsukipro the Animation 2. Region A only. Japanese with English subtitles. So the dub. One loose disc. There we go. Doesn't feel like it's quite closing right, but oh well. Next up we have a Revue Starlight the movie. Actually, kind of neater cover than I was thinking. Okay. Hold on. Looking at the back, I see a region A. There's an English dub and a performing Starlight was their destiny, but the world is even grander stage. Movie. Next up, we have Lupin 3rd Dead or Alive. On Blu-ray. That's a region A. Looks like there's an English dub version as well. I don't mention Japanese with English subtitles. I think the assumption is that's always there until not. So, here's our one disc. We want to invert the cover. So instead we have this. I love when the slip cover and the inner cover differ. And I appreciate the fact that if you like the inner cover or the slip cover more, but you only have the inner cover, you can usually reverse those. It's pretty nice. Flying Phantom Ship. Discotheque. Getting some interesting, unusual titles, which is very nice. Again, I think it's great when there's somebody always filling out the gaps like that. That's English. There's an English dub as well. I think that's region A only. Yay, it's different underneath the covers. Actually, is this a movie? That's one movie. Okay. A fascinating little piece. A fascinating looking little piece, I should say. Next up, we have Scarlet Nexus, Season 1, Part 1. Which definitely has a pretty neat looking cover. That's regions A and B, and an English dub. They're taking over one way or another. Or an other? Oh, very nice. Not really sure what this is, what it would be about. I did the back. Episodes 1 through 7. Episodes 8 through 13. And not a reversible cover. So, an actual valuable slipcover. Next up, Higurashi, When They Cry Sotsu. Somewhere here. That probably says what it is, but Jesus Christ, that is tiny. This is season 2. Well, this is more of the latest When They Cry stuff, I suppose. That is some tenacious plastic, so we are getting this out to teach a lesson. This plastic is a real pain. It didn't want to come apart at first, and now it won't stay together as I take it apart. Did I mention regions A and B? I don't think so. English dub. Will the horrors ever end? Will they now? Oh yeah, I was probably starting to say something about, oh yes, and then I guess he's working on Silent Hill. Guess we'll see what that be. We've got the double series double feature here. That's To Be Hero and To Be Heroine, which are different seasons, I think. But this is good. They were both on my interested in watching list on Crunchyroll, but they never got started. What can I say? Japanese with English subtitles. I don't see anything here actually saying this is region A only. Both TV series and hilarious definition. And even though it's this, I guess it's that. And maybe that makes sense, because Japanese can be right to the left. When you read the comic panels, at least. So it could be just what the original opening looked like in Japan. It's translated here. Assuming I'm understanding right, because it's my understanding that To Be Hero was about kind of a unlikely hero uncle, maybe? Which is what that looks like. And finally, Devilman, the complete TV series. Oh, there we go. I'm taking a look at the back. Let's see. Do I see a region A there? I see a region A there. Japanese with English subtitles. Different underneath the cover. That's always nice. Disc 1. Disc 2. Disc 3. A bit of a peek at the bigger picture underneath. There we go. And then last but not least, the Nighthead Genesis Blu-ray version. Which I do believe I have this on DVD as of a billion years ago. But sometime around, I guess, present times, we have a Blu-ray release for it. Okay, this is Media Blast's release. Interesting. Okay, that's why I got it through Right Stuff. Because sometimes the Amazon orders aren't as dependable. 13 and older. I see Japanese. I don't see English, so this may be subtitled only. Region A. Let's take a peek. Nice underneath the slipcover. Pretty straightforward. And something about this feels a little different. But I can't put it. It's maybe nothing too bad. It could just be that after opening so many of those, the consistency of this feels different. Still a little waxy though, to prevent damage. But I don't know. Anyways, I guess there's no DVDs this time, so here's this week's Anime Blu-ray Collection update. Alright. My back hurts. But before we talk about the reason for that, let's go down the list of anime real quick. Spy Family, episode 17. Pretty entertaining. You know, not the best of what the show's out there, but not bad stuff at all. Just entertaining. Spy Family still being Spy Family. Yeah. Guess I'm waiting for something to jump out at me. But as it is, you know, it's just pleasant. Nice to watch. Beast Tamer, episode 5. Fine enough. I think it played out about how I'd expect. Maybe a little more straightforward than I would have hoped. But the basic idea is, again, it as a show kind of seems to be dependent on people just being stupidly mean, bad people sort of things. In this case, the hero's party, I guess. Because that's what that episode is about. But, it's kind of strange. But it's okay. It is what it is. I'm the villainess, so I'm taming the final boss, episode 6. I'm still continuing to enjoy where it's going. It's staying pretty dynamic and on its toes and not, like, falling into patterns or habits, I would say. At least it doesn't feel that way, so it's been pretty appreciable in just staying on there. Speaking of things staying on your toes and getting appreciable, Attack on Titan final season, I've watched episodes 79 through 84. Getting really close to the end of this season, and it's the final season, so it should be the end of the series. And I've got high hopes because, honestly, some of the stuff that was happening in the final season maybe wasn't completely blowing my mind as much as some of the other stuff, but then it did some stuff that blew my mind this time. I'm just like, this series is just really well written. I highly appreciate it. This late into the series, looking forward to seeing what they do at the very end, because I'm almost hopeful that it's actually going to be something that may be very satisfying, because they've been given satisfying stuff so far. Bakchi the Rock, episode 4. It's being entertaining. Bakchi, our main character, is continuing to be the one that makes the show interesting. Not that I think people would hate the other characters per se. I think they don't have the same series draw that our main character tends to bring. Her eccentricness is entertaining. I wouldn't say that it's something that's feeling like the most awesome thing ever. But I do want to see where it's going to go, and I have been finding it entertaining what it's been doing so far. The Genius Prince's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt. So, you know, I watched the first 8 episodes last week, or for the previous update. This one, I've watched the last 4 episodes. Entertaining enough. It's probably not done. There's probably more season. maybe more season will come out at least. But as it is, for what it's done so far, it's been okay. Entertaining. As a series, it felt like it always just kind of balanced on that line between Lucky Prince versus Genius Prince. It's called Genius Prince, so you kind of want to see somebody that you're like, oh, he's making some pretty smart decisions. And it feels like it leans more in that direction. So as an entire season, it's okay. But at the same time, you know, it could be iffy, and other people may not feel it meets that balance, or maybe they don't care about that balance, or they care too much about that balance. I don't know. Chainsaw Man was mentioned to me, and that was on my radar as something to maybe consider watching, but considering I haven't even finished the anime about the guy with a gun for a head, I didn't know if I wanted to watch one with a chainsaw for a head. Which, you know, isn't quite a fair comparison. They're definitely very different genres. Chainsaw Man, I kind of feel like you'll get a very good feel, you know, if the 3-episode mark is supposed to mark, and I've watched the first 3 episodes, that's all it was out last I checked, it feels like it's past the 3-episode check. It feels like it passed it before then. Like, maybe episode, you know, halfway through episode 2, you kind of have a good feeling. You're like, okay, I think I could watch this. I think it gives a good feel for it. Episode 1 gets some really great action in it, and you kind of wonder, you know, whenever you see something like that, you always have to worry about a series doing that for a first episode and then never really paying off on that. Some of them pay off, but they, you know, don't pay off across the whole series. It's like maybe a build-up, and they work out really well. Chainsaw Man doesn't seem to be that. So, there's little moments of great action in there, and you kind of, it flows correctly, I guess. Our main character is interesting. He's definitely one of those teetering on the edge of being great versus being, oh god. And it kind of reminds me of the main character of Gantz, but I don't think you can compare this anime in Gantz, because Gantz is definitely all about shock factor. But our main characters in both kind of had this problem of they're kind of young, horny boys, basically. And I say basically in the most, it's not comparing everything, right? Gantz, I would say, is a little more cringe in that regard, with at least Chainsaw Man kind of having these other elements of, he's just always lived a bad life and has always dreamed of having a better life. But, you know, episode 2 begins and, you know, he's starting to get some of those, and he's like, okay, yeah, and, you know, part of that scoring with a girl thing involves wanting to touch her breasts. It's like, I should try to work up to that at least, or something like that. And it's okay, it makes sense with the show, and it doesn't seem to be disrupting things too much. But it is one of those things where you can say, okay, yeah, that would be nice, but yeah, no, sometimes you don't want to make that your goal in life. But when our main character has, like, jelly sandwiches, that's actually kind of really neat, and it's kind of along the same lines. He's blossoming in a couple of different ways, and it's kind of interesting to see where it goes from there, because episode 3 didn't quite end in a way that that I would say makes you feel like everything that it was doing feels resolved. So it's a bit of a cliffhanger of an episode, but at the same time, again, I don't feel like you have to give this episode or this series 3 episodes to kind of tell if you're going to like it. You can probably watch the first episode, and since it does seem to be willing to jump on some of that action more, I think you can get a good feel for, like, okay, yeah, I kind of like the way this action in this feels. It does not feel like it's belittling itself or anything like that as it goes, which is a very easy thing to do. And so overall, pretty nice series. Let's see, Reincarnated as a Sword, episode 4. Let's see, I kind of like what it's doing. There's some of the stuff in there that feels a little bit off, but in terms of our main characters blossoming as well, I suppose, it's feeling pretty nice. Like, I'm kind of curious what it's setting up and what it's going to be doing as it goes out from here, because it feels like it has not run out of track to keep going faster and faster like it has been. And maybe it's not going like faster, but it's still, I've been enjoying it. I've appreciated the series. I can understand some people maybe not feeling it, maybe, but what can I say? It feels like it's scratching my isekai itch pretty well. I've been enjoying it. Let's see, I also watched 1.5 episodes of Devil's Line. I mean, I might finish episode 2, it's just that busy evening. But I was kind of curious, you know, it popped up on as trending on High Dive, and I'm pretty sure I probably have it on Blu-ray, DVD or something somewhere. As for the show itself, I kind of got curious because the premise sounded okay, but then the ratings were kind of meh. But then some people were saying hidden gem, and I can kind of understand why. So for starters, even though it's called Devil's Line and it talks about devils stuff here, it's basically more of a vampire thing. And I've mentioned before, and I wasn't the one to get this insight. I think Crispin Freeman kind of gave this at a talk at about Alucard from Hellsing. But vampire stories are kind of an exploration of dark human sexuality, usually. Now, I think not all vampire stories are. Some of them probably deviate a bit from that. But I mentioned before ones that definitely lean heavy on that, and what was that? I don't remember what it's called, but there was one out there that was definitely way into fetishy territory where our main character had basically no autonomy other than being irresistible to be bitten, and you know that's definitely a very sexual thing. Devil's Line, it's definitely an exploration of some ideas along those lines, but I'm not quite sure I can identify what anime it is from the 1.5 episodes I've seen so far. But it's giving me the feeling of more of a relationship sort of show. Even though there is a setup there that would make it sound sort of more shonen confrontational-ish. And maybe it's just playing with different elements really well, but, you know, it's strange. I can kind of understand why maybe this really does appeal to some people really well. Hidden Gem? Yeah, sure. I wouldn't say it's like definitely... I think the reason it doesn't synchronize with a lot of people is probably because, from what I can tell of the characters, the writing, the story design, they're not appeal to all audiences. So you're going to have a good chunk of people that it doesn't appeal to. But I suspect the people that are really into this sort of stuff will kind of like it a lot. Yeah. Okay, that's my list there. Yeah, there's some shows that I'm low prioring in terms of watching, but what else is there to talk about? Obviously, more Halloween movies. In this case, there was Halloween, 1979. The John Carpenter's Halloween, the thing that started the franchise. And I don't remember what I thought the last time I watched it, but I watched it again and it's okay. Slasher films are kind of not my thing, and so it's interesting because I've talked about how, like, I appreciate Alien because you kind of feel like these people are really there and going through this really strange thing. And I feel like Alien was better than Halloween, or so that would be more accurate to say that I enjoy Alien more than Halloween. And I think the reason for that is it doesn't feel like Halloween really kind of has a story. And that could be part of its appeal, where it just kind of feels like, well, there's sort of a setup. It isn't designed to necessarily feel like it's building up to something or theming or something like that. But maybe that makes it, for some people, a bit more of an experience. Yeah, like this is what it would be like experiencing these things. That could be a good thing. It's sort of like I was just thinking, Aliens, I don't think you can say that Aliens is the better Alien movie than Alien, just because there is a difference in tone between them. I think you can objectively argue that Aliens is a better story than Alien. Now, just because it's a better story doesn't necessarily mean it's the story that you're into, but Aliens is definitely, I don't know, it's got all the hallmarks of some pretty great storytelling. But movies don't have to be just that, and so I think movies can get away with,
You know, stories that are not quite as good, but they bring out something else, an experience or something like that. So it's kind of interesting to think of all that stuff, and Halloween falls on that of like, I don't know, I didn't feel like there was a story there. I felt like it was an experience, and it's not the kind of experience that wows me, so it's just kind of okay, but it's interesting. And then The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is a classic. I realized watching it this time, it just feels like it goes by so fast. Like there's 2 or 3 sentences between songs or something like that. And I don't remember it ever feeling that way. And I don't think it's exactly that way. But it kind of feels that way now. But that's okay. Our characters aren't the best. And I think this is another one where I don't think the story is the best. Like, okay, yeah, you set up a bad guy at the end, but the truth of the matter is, he kind of only exists in order for a main character to have somebody to fight at the end-ish. So, there's a lot of weird disconnects and this and that and whatnot, but it doesn't matter because I don't think that's the angle for which it's trying to entertain. So it's kind of interesting that we have all these shows that are all about how movies aren't necessarily about good stories, but a good story in a movie is an impressive thing. But Nightmare Before Christmas, I think you kind of watch it for either your fascination with the claymation, fascination with the character designs, because they are definitely, they're pretty nice. I mean, there's a reason why Hot Topic is pretty much Nightmare Before Christmas, the store, or something like that. Like, it's hard not to blame people for finding appeal in what it does. But it's not even just that, because the music, I love that music. I'm not even sure if it's necessarily the best music of stuff that I've heard that, whatever. But there's not a song in there that I don't enjoy to some degree. So that means that basically every song in there is good to great as far as I can tell. Maybe that song, the one sung by Sally, there must be something in the wind. And it's not a bad song. And actually I would say it's probably one of the more important songs because it kind of helps define a story arc within the songs of the show. Or the movie, but I don't know, thoughts. Okay, and then I said I was exhausted, so that was a video game thing. So my Twitch friend Moth, for Halloween stream, she wanted to do VR chat, specifically a puzzle map, an escape room type map called The Devouring, and mixed feelings on it. Some of the good stuff about it is it definitely has a really nice setting, feel, aesthetic going on. It's built to look pretty well. But I definitely have some huge misgivings about some of its design, which, while initially kind of spooky, eventually, because you have to keep hitting your head against it through the whole thing, it just gets tiring. And mostly that's the wandering spirit thing, which in our case just started getting really glitchy, attacking people through walls, even if they were in the safe room, and just being unable to kind of work around it like we were supposed to, or should have been able to. Excuse me. It has too many sections inspired by the water part from Amnesia. And what I mean by too many is, because of the way it works, it's actually very painful to play. Like, I would not think that they actually kind of paid attention to how the physics worked in Amnesia, whereas I feel like you take something else. Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion has a section that's very clearly inspired by the water part from Amnesia, just like this one is, and I've only watched, but it looks like it had the right idea. And it's kind of commendable in that regard. Spooky Jump Scare Mansion does plays around with a whole lot of ideas in a very simplistic but functional way. This map, it felt like it relied too heavily on that stuff, and it has some serious conveyance problems because there's so many things spread so many places that eventually it's just overwhelming. It's simply overwhelming. Like, I'm not even quite sure if we had any idea what we were going to do after the part where we had just done it. It was no longer communicating helpful things to us. Maybe there was something missing. Maybe there was something we were supposed to do. I don't know. But that's the problem with it. While it has a whole lot of really neat stuff it plays with, it's draining. And doing it in VR, maybe it's fine if you're doing it on desktop. It's not immediately obvious. Maybe it looked like it was only supposed to have like 2 people. So maybe once we start getting to 3 people, 4 people, it just broke more and more. That would be fair, but it didn't change the fact that, you know, people like me and this Twitch streamer, we're not playing this in order to show off, oh hey, we can do this. For us, it's a social experience. And I've done at least one other escape room with them in VR chat that had some slight conveyance issues, but for the most part, it did a better job of making sure that you couldn't get too distracted by all these other things. So that one we were able to just keep moving forward. Sometimes a little slowly, but for this one, it's hard to tell if we're even moving forward or not. Yeah, a mixed bag. It's something... I think the real problem is just... Now that we've gone this far, and God, we probably played for 5 or 6 hours. No idea how far we got. We might as well just, you know, call it quits from there because it was already past midnight, and what are we going to do after that? I mean, I'm already recording this video pretty late. It's not even Halloween anymore. I'm just wearing my Halloween costume because y'all deserve to see this every once in a while. Because I treated people at HEB to this. It's fun. Is there anything else worth mentioning? Not sure. It was a free weekend DVD. I certainly hope the few times I played Killer, the survivors felt like they learned a little bit. I wanted to play more, but oh my god, I was so exhausted this weekend. I had a match with as the artist, where it's like they're having trouble knowing to unhook. So I didn't pick somebody up to hook them because I was waiting for somebody to go and unhook the other person. Like, why are they still not doing it? I'm right here about to hook this person. Okay, I'm going to pick up this Claudette and take them to that hook. Oh, I see the bill there. Maybe finally pondering unhooking. It doesn't matter. Claudette needs to break free and I need to get out of there so they do that unhook. You know, I hooked everybody once. I tried to make sure all those survivors got to leave. You know, a little bit of harassing in just the right way where they should have an idea of how artist works. Maybe not the intricacies, but it's like you probably shouldn't hide in a locker when the artist's trying to do. But we're talking about people that are so new. I'm pretty sure that Jake was trying to use inner healing, and that's why he kept going into lockers. Even though I had Iron Maiden and he didn't know what exposed us, which is fine. That's an effect whose name is very confusing. It means you can get downed in one hit even if you're at full health. But I think he was trying to heal himself by staying in a locker a long time. It's like, why is this not working? That would be my guess. Otherwise, you know, he was doing it because he was absolutely fucking terrified because, you know, not only was I playing an artist, but I'm playing an artist that looks kind of more like an alien sort of thing. I think I'm not the only one who has used this this outfit combination. The ice head and the black body. You look like you're some sort of invading otherworldly alien. Maybe not even from outer space, but maybe from an adjacent dimension or something crazy like that. It's nice. I really like the aesthetic of it. But yeah, putting that aside, you know, it was Dead by Daylight, and as Survivor, definitely noticed the killers I was playing against were a little newer as well. I'm trying to think if I have anything super notable to say about that, other than I was successfully able to make sure I was the one killed in the last 2 of the 3 matches I can think of. In the third one, I tried to tell the Billy to do it, but he wanted me to skip in. You know, I completely respect that. In my mind, especially if I'm the one who gives the killer a lot of trouble, and this was Raccoon City, which is not a very great Billy map, I think, because I don't think it has much in the way of good curves, so it's kind of hard to get that chainsaw quite right. And I hit him with 3 or 4 pallets, and you know, he was trying to protect the generator at the top of the main room, but I was able to keep looping him there because he wasn't trying to loop me proper, but it was hard for him to, because no matter which direction he looped me, I would be able to go somewhere that would take him completely away from that, and that was the generator with the most progress, and that was the thing he had to do. So, you know, I gave the poor guy a hard time, and that's why he deserved to kill me if he wanted to do that. It's like, yeah, you did this to me, you go on the hook. And I understand and appreciate that. Most of the time, I don't have anything that requires me to survive a match. Usually, I need to cleanse totems, or I need to do co-op time with survivors, or repair generators, or repair these event generators. All that is great, and I'm perfectly fine focusing on that, making some progress on that, but dying. And so I tend to go on the matches trying to be the one who dies. And so for a couple of killers, I kind of got that where it's like, oh yeah, so they got to hook me in the very end, but I'm on second hook, so if they manage to unhook me, even though they're starting to camp me, well, they're newer killer players. They don't know how to camp too well, even though, you know, camping isn't always like a guaranteed thing anyways. But the good news is for them, is in my mind, the way I was going to throw was to give my teammates the benefit of, oh, this Sybil made it to the exit and could have left, but she chose not to and ran back in so that the killer can kill her. But it never had to reach that far. They managed to, you know, get me before I made it there. Granted, I was a little potato brain, but, you know, they still caught me before I went into officially throwing things mode. And so that's good for them. They got to kill me. I'm glad about that. I only remember 3 of the matches. I'm pretty sure I had more than 3 of the matches, but whatever. Dead by Daylight. It has its ups, it has its downs. In this case, I'm hoping that I'm helping new people learn stuff. Like, I'm not some expert, but I'll give some people some ideas in terms of what survivors may try to do in order to loop them. I'm not the only one. There were plenty of other people probably around my skill level. It's not better. Fun stuff. Animal Crossing. Oh my god. So I have 3 islands. I've never participated in the Halloween event. And I kind of knew, oh, well, I'm going to need candy, which you purchase 1 per day from the stores. So I've been doing that for all 3 of my islands. And then today I had to spend like 30 minutes minimum, maybe closer to 40 minutes per island doing the Halloween events 3 times. Then I finally got to eat steak for dinner. Oh my god. It's been an exhausting evening. Hopefully I don't sleep in or something. I get this video processed and uploaded. In fact, it's more likely going to happen if it's not so long. I'm trying to think if I see the red dot that indicates I'm recording, but I do see the little thing there. Okay. Whew. Alright. That's it. I hope y'all have a happy Halloween, had a happy Halloween, and have a nice week.